Okay, so last night we started discussing, not everybody was here, but we started discussing a fascinating question which comes up related to Tkiyat Shofar, again, following here the analysis of Rav Yaakov Ariel, the way he writes in his tshuva. There are, of course, other ways to look at it as well. But the question was as follows. There is a person who has volunteered or has been called upon to go and blow shofar in a hospital, and the hospital has an interest that he will go and blow shofar for as many patients as possible in as many wards as possible, but he only has a limited time in which to do so. And it's a large hospital. Again, our assumption is that when he's blowing in one ward, they can't hear in the other ward at the same time. So the question that was posed was, should he start where he starts, blow the minimum 30 kolot, right, 30 sounds, in order to be sure that they fulfill the mitzvah d'oraita, and then move on, and as many patients as he gets to, they fulfill the mitzvah, and everybody else doesn't? Or would it be better in this case, in order to get to more people, so don't go to 30 kolot, but do 9 or 10, which is really just one set, which again, midoraita, you only need 9. The problem is we're not sure how to get to the 9, and therefore we do 30. But should he do less, a less mehudar fulfillment of the mitzvah for more people, or a more mehudar fulfillment of the mitzvah for less people? Again, we started discussing yesterday. The first question that we asked was, maybe this is exactly copy-paste. This is the machloket between the Rambam and Rav Hai Gaon. We discussed yesterday and last week that according to Rav Hai Gaon, we get to 30 not because of a safek, but actually whichever 9 you blow, we know you fulfilled the mitzvah d'oraita, and that's fine. So according to Rav Hai Gaon, it would seem go around, blow for as many people as possible, less kolot, and that would be sufficient. However, the Rambam and the Shulchan Aruch, which seems to paskin like the Rambam, holds that it's really a doubt, and therefore, if it's less than 30, you may not have fulfilled the mitzvah at all, and therefore not so straightforward. So then we said, well, maybe there's a concept here of chetzi shiur. Right? We know that there's a concept of chetzi shiur when it comes to isurim, when it comes to prohibitions. It's like Gemara Yoma, Machlok Rabbi Yochanan Reish Lakish, we paskin like Rabbi Yochanan, that we say chetzi shiur asur min haTorah, meaning if there is a minimum measure for to eat, which is a kazayit or whatever it is, that's the minimum amount which one would eat, and one would then be liable for the punishment. Even if you ate less than that, you've still violated the Torah. So could you say, on the reverse, could you say there's a concept of chetzi shiur when it comes to a mitzvah? So there are those who raise this possibility, and there are those who say, again, the question where we saw it was that you have two people who only have a kazayit of matzah between them, and the Shari Tshuva discusses this case, and he says it's better that one person eats the entire kazayit, so at least they fulfilled the mitzvah. The other person has the swut that they let the other person fulfill the mitzvah. Okay, what can you do? Honest, Rahman Abatre. But there were those who suggest that, again, it's a hava mina, tzarich iyun, it's not so clear cut, but there could be, if there is a concept of chetzi shiur, then maybe there's a value in each one having half. So then the question becomes, would there be value in our case? Would there be value in having more people? Again, a less whole, a less complete fulfillment of the mitzvah, but maybe there's something. So first of all, he points out over here that even that case with the kazayit of matzah, whatever it says there, the question is only raised when it doesn't actually belong to one of them. This kazayit of matzah, it's hefker, whatever it is, who gets it? If Reuven had a kazayit of matzah, and then suddenly Shimon knocks on the door and says, I want to join you. Okay, Reuven says, you can join me, but it's my kazayit. I'm going to eat it. So here, the comparison only begins if we say that the mitzvah doesn't belong to one of them. And that seems to be the case, right? This person doesn't have an interest. He's not committed to blowing shofar for any one individual. He's just coming in general. If there was a certain patient in the hospital who said, had arranged for this person to come blow shofar for him, and they're in the furthest ward, okay, obviously he would have a responsibility to go blow the shofar for that person first, or make sure he gets to him. But the truth is that here, maybe our case is not, even if we accept chetzi shiur, maybe it's different. Because I'll read you, this is what Rav Ariel says. He says, Omnam vaday shebanidon didan, in our case, regarding tkiyot, en beseret tkiyot chelki mishum chetzi shiur, and I like dimyon lechetzi shiur. Even if you're going to accept less than the full, a smaller measurement, who's to say that that's actually the case here? Again, as we repeated many times, we have the 30 tkiyot in order that there shouldn't be a doubt, that we should know for certain that we fulfill the mitzvah. ועל הצד שסדר התשרת כצדקה אינו הסדר הנכון, משום שאין זו התורה האמורה בתורה, נמצא שאין כאן אפילו חצי שיעור. In other words, you're blowing 3 different sets of kolot, right? One of those is not the mitzvah at all. It's not chetzi shiur, it's nothing. It's a safek. And therefore, right after the takana of Rabbi Abba, so we get to 30, נמצא שאף מי ששומע רק את חלקן, כי הם לפחות חלק מן התקנה. So if you hear some of them, you fulfilled some of the takana, but maybe you haven't fulfilled the mitzvah at all, or maybe now there is a mitzvah. In other words, saying once we have this takana, once it's been established that we have to blow the 30 kolot, if I do a part of that, okay, it's a safek, maybe I fulfilled the mitzvah, maybe I haven't. But is there a value? Is there an inherent value in just hearing some of those sounds if I'm not going to hear all of them, right? Regardless, I haven't fulfilled the mitzvah of Doraita, but is there still, nonetheless, is there a value to it, right? And that would be in our case, yeah. So he brings 2 proofs to say that maybe there is some sort of a mitzvah. Okay, we won't call it chetzi shiur, but is there a value to hear some of the set of 30 if I'm not going to hear the full set? So one source is the following. This is the Shulchan Aruch in Tav Kuf Tari Gimel. Shulchan Aruch, he says like this. He says, we saw this previously. Tashrat, Tashat, Tarat, Ein Makvin Zeh Zeh. These 3 sets of shofar blasts are not dependent one on the other. Ve'im yada la'asot echad mehem o shnayim oseh. Right? A person who doesn't know how to do doesn't know how to do shvarim or doesn't know how to do trua, right? They only do one of those sets or 2 of those sets. They would still blow them. Now, if a person, let's say a person didn't know how to do tkiyah, so we don't say, okay, just do a shvarim or just do a trua. That's nothing, right? Nobody would say that, but we say if you know how to do a tashrat, but not a tashrat, so you would do that. So therefore, you see, although it's only part of the minimum unit we need, there's a value. There's a value in hearing some of those kolot. Another proof he brings is that in the tkiyot de me'umad, the tkiyot which we blow in along with the brachot in the repetition of the amidah. Again, our custom is by each bracha to do the full set of tashrat, tarat, to make sure at least we got the right set. But many of the Rishonim did not have this custom. Many of the Rishonim did tashrat for malchiot and tashrat for zichronot and tarat for shofar. So again, you're only doing one. Now again, you've heard all of the blast before, so you fulfilled the mitzvah, but still, this is the karat kiyot, going with the bracha. So it seems to me there is a value. There is a hearing only part of the tkiyot. So again, we go back to our original question. So we're saying, yes, we understand, according to the Rambam, you've not fulfilled, or you've not certainly fulfilled the mitzvah if you only hear some of those blasts, right? If you only go with 9 or 10, but there seems to be that there is still a value, and especially if we bear in mind that all these people in the hospital, okay, if he's not going to get to blow the shofar for them, they can't go anywhere. They can't go to shul. In a certain sense, they're honest Rahmana Patra. So they're not mechuyav in the first instance. Well, they were mechuyav, but they're exempt because there's no one to blow the shofar for them. So again, what is better? Is it better that this person gets to all of them and gives them the value of hearing shofar, at least on some level, or some of them won't have that, and some of them will have the entire mitzvah? So essentially, we're asking a question of quality versus quantity. So here's the next source, the next frame of reference which Rav Yaakov Ariel gives. He says maybe this is related to a case we have in Ilchot Shabbat. In Ilchot Shabbat is a case, well-known case, of a choleh, a person who is ill and a person needs to eat meat on Shabbat, right? You don't have any meat available. You don't have kosher meat available. You have 2 options. You can give them, you have a nevela, so you have non-kosher meat, which they can eat, or somebody can go and can shecht a cow or shecht a chicken or whatever it is, and provide the meat that they're going to eat on Shabbat. So what's better? You have to violate one of the Isurim. It's pikuach nefesh, so you've got to do something. Is it better to go and to violate the Isur Shabbat of Shchita, or is it better to violate the Isur of eating non-kosher meat? So here we have a machloket between the Ran and the Ravid. So he says like this: the Ran is of the opinion שעדיף להתיר לחולה לעבור על איסור שחיטה בשבת פעם אחת, אף על פי שהוא איסור חמור שעונשו סקילה. Because even though breaking Shabbat now is a more stringent sin, because that's Isur Skila, but there you're only performing a transgression once when you do the Shechita. But if you're going to eat the Nevela, Basar Nevela, Hareyu Avel Isur, Kol Kazait V'Kazait. Every Kazait that he eats, he's going to he's going to transgress. In other words, again, it's quality versus quantity. So based on that, so it says like this. You hear, he says, better that we look at the quantity. We rather prefer that you only transgress once, even though it's a greater transgression, than you transgress many times. And therefore, he says, if we extrapolate that to our case, it would be adif. Let's have as many people that can hear as possible, rather than fewer hearing to a greater quality. And then that's the opinion. That's one opinion. That's the opinion of the Ran. The Ravid, on the other hand, he says differently. He says the Ravid says better that you're going to eat the non-kosher meat, because that's an isur nevela, which is a less severe isur than the isur of Shabbat. Even though here there are more transgressions, but we look at the quality. And therefore, in our case, he would say, therefore, it's better, go to less people, but let them hear the tkiyot as they should. Okay, so that's a very, very interesting case and interesting comparison that he brings. There's a bit more. I'm not going to go through the whole tshuva now as well, but there's a lot of shaklavataria in terms of the fact that the cholim that are sitting there are maybe anusim, or maybe we say ones rachmana patre. And how does that mean? What is the chiyuv? The person now who's going and is blowing the shofar for the different people in the hospital, is it that he doesn't have a chiyuv to fulfill the mitzvah of shofar? He's already fulfilled it for himself. He's going to blow the shofar for all these other people. So essentially, his chiyuv is one of arvut. We've spoken many times before. The reason why you can fulfill a mitzvah for others, although you've already done it, is because Kol Yisrael Arivim Zelazeh. What does that mean? Is that a chiyuv on each one of those individuals, and he's part of that through arvut, or is that his fulfillment of is arvut, and that's on everybody? In which case, it wouldn't matter how many he's going around to. So these are just some of the different factors which come into it. Let me skip to the bottom line. Let me read you the maskana. What comes out of all of this, and this is how Ariel Paskins. He says, "Im netzaref et kol hasvarot she'eleinu." Take all the svarot we spoke about yesterday and today. He comes to the conclusion, which may be surprising, advarim matim sheyesh la'adif la'agdil et kamut hashomim afilu al cheshbon echut hatkiyot. His conclusion is better to go for the quantity rather than quality. He says he should go around and he should blow shofar for as many people as possible, even if it means you're going to compromise the level of fulfillment of them. Obviously, the best thing to do really is find a few volunteers who can go around and blow for everybody. But that's assuming that's not possible. It says, let him go around to every department and blow the minimum amount that he can. Go around to as many patients as possible. Okay, first of all, it's possible that you have fulfilled the mitzvah on a doraita level. Either we accept Rav Hai or otherwise. They fulfilled a part of the mitzvah. So his obligation of arvut is not towards each and every individual specifically, but rather towards Klal Yisrael as a whole. And therefore, therefore, we don't prefer one over the other. You shouldn't let one have the 30 kolot on account of others. You should go around to as many as possible. As I said at the beginning, obviously there are other ways of looking at this. There are other considerations as well. There might be, but that is the conclusion that he comes to. And I thought it was a fascinating discussion, looking at some of the fundamentals of Tkiyot Shofar, understanding why we do it, and seeing some of the different places, Chot Pesach, Chot Shabbat, etc., how it's all at the end of the day connected, and it's one Torah. Rabbi Chananya ben Akash Omer, Sakadosh Baruch Hu l'zakot Yisrael, tzichach b'alem Torah mitzvot shnei amad lechev etzman tzidko yagdil Torah v'yad.